Hello, in this video we'll talk about what is SAP GUI. This is Hassan Mir from 02protraining.com. So first of all, SAP GUI stands for SAP Graphical User Interface, also pronounced as GUI. So in order to understand the graphical user interface, first let's try to understand the three-tier architecture that SAP uses for most of its applications. Okay, so let's imagine that on one computer we have a database running. So database software is managing the data, and on another computer we have application server running. So here all the logic resides for the application, including screens, reports, what will user see on the screen, what will happen when user clicks on a button, the whole logic that is residing on the application server. And then we have three more computers that users are using to connect to the application server, so they are using the application. So this is a perfect example for a three-tier environment. So in reality, a database could be residing on one or more machines, and application server could be residing on multiple machines, and in a typical setting there could be three application servers connecting to this one database, and in more heavy-duty environments we could have multiple mirroring databases as well. But to understand the concept of three-tier, the basic point is, on one tier we have a database, just the data is residing here, and on another tier we have application server containing the whole logic, business logic for the application, and on yet another tier we have users simply using some kind of a software to connect to the application server. So this is where the graphical user interface, SAP's graphical user interface, comes into the picture. So all these users that are connecting to the application server from their personal computers will have SAP GUI software installed on their computer. Okay, so that is the use of SAP GUI. It lets you connect to the application server and use the SAP application itself. Just installing SAP GUI on your computer will not give you access to SAP as such, or any of the application that SAP offers, including the ERP application. You need to have the application server running on some computer and database running on the same computer or another computer. By the way, you can have database and application server running on the same computer as well for small environments, not suitable for production environments, but that is possible. But your SAP GUI client needs to talk to the application server to let you have access to the actual application. Okay, so again, keep in mind, just installing SAP GUI is meaningless unless you have access to the server. Actually, in really small scale environment, you can have all three on the same computer as well. So you can download SAP, install it on your computer. These days laptops are very powerful as well. You can install the application server database on the same laptop, and you can download SAP GUI client on your laptop as well. In that case, all the three tiers will be residing on one laptop. So keep in mind that SAP GUI is a universal client that lets you connect to multiple applications that SAP offers, including SAP ERP, which is Enterprise Resource Planning application, SAP Business One, SAP Business Intelligence, also known as BI, and other SAP applications. I've talked in more detail about SAP Business One, BI, and ERP in other videos. You can check that out. So the SAP GUI software comes in three flavors. You have SAP Graphical User Interface for HTML, you have SAP Graphical User Interface for Windows, SAP Graphical User Interface for Java. So there are three different methods to connect to the same application. Little bit differences will be there on what users are seeing, but they will be able to interact more or less the same way using any of the three methods to the same application. So let's say you have SAP ERP running and there are three different users. One could connect using one SAP GUI client, let's say SAP GUI for Windows, another one can connect using SAP GUI for Java, and third one could connect using the HTML version. The three SAP GUI clients have slight differences among themselves. Keep in mind that SAP GUI for Windows can only be installed on Windows operating system. However, SAP GUI for Java could be installed on Linux, Unix, Mac, and Windows. And the SAP GUI for HTML is basically a browser-based connection to the application. All it requires is the browser. So in this first option, SAP GUI for HTML, what you need is the browser to connect to the application. So there is more to that, as I'm going to talk about in coming slides. So SAP GUI for HTML is only supported using two kind of browsers, Internet Explorer and Firefox. Other browsers are not officially supported by SAP. So keep in mind that SAP GUI for Windows and SAP GUI for Java require you to install these clients on your computer. They are kind of software that you're installing on your computer to talk to the application server. But in case of SAP GUI for HTML, you're simply using your browser. So you need to install an additional software on the application server node, and that is called Internet Transaction Server. And Internet Transaction Server, once installed, will let you use browser to talk to the application server. Internet Transaction Server is also known as ITS. So SAP GUI for Java offers more or less the same look and feel as SAP GUI for Windows. However, there are slight differences, but still most capabilities are offered by the SAP GUI for Windows version of their client software. So these three different methods for connecting to the application server use different protocols. So SAP GUI for HTML uses HTTP protocol. All you are using is the browser to connect to the ITS service running on application server, and this is the same protocol that is used when you open any other web page. HTTP is basically the protocol for browsing websites. SAP GUI for Windows and Java, they use DIAG and RFC protocol, which is different than this first one. So the current release for SAP GUI for Windows is 7.3 and for Java is 7.2. So when you use SAP GUI client to connect to the application server, the logon information is residing in this SAP logon.ini file on your computer. So you can modify the content of this file, you can copy this file over to other computers, and you can do any operation on this file just like you can do operations on any other file.